Get ready with me while I tell you about the craziest travel experience I've ever had and how my brother and my puppy ended up in Chicago without me and his fiance. Okay, so yesterday, like I said, me, my puppy, my brother, and his fiance were flying from North Carolina to New York for Christmas. We get to the airport like 2 hours before our flight, and since we had the puppy, we obviously had to get in the line for special services, which was kind of long. Well, it was pretty long, but it was moving and then it wasn't moving. So I even said when we got in the line, like, it's fine, we have plenty of time. So we're standing in this line, and the first time I remember checking my phone, it was 7:47, and the biggest problem was nobody was working for American Airlines to keep this big line moving. At some points there was 5 people working at all 6 or 8 computers that were there, but at one point there was also 2 people working. And remind you, this line also had people who had already missed their flights. So they were trying to find and book new flights while we were just trying to check ourselves in, because if you have a pet, you have to do it all there. So we're getting close to the front of the line. I look at my phone and it's 8:15-ish. Wait, also backing up. Our flight is at 9:13. So I'm like, oh my gosh, the next problem is going to be they're going to tell us we're too late for them to take our bags. I don't know what we're going to do. My brother's like, no, it's 45 minutes. We'll be fine. And we finally get up there. I actually took a video, which if I can figure out how to put it in, I will, at 8:28, I think it was, and nobody's working. Every computer, I think, except for one, is empty, and we're just standing there. So this is the 45 minutes before our 9:13, give or take, whatever, a couple minutes that, we should have and needed to be at the computer. We finally get up to a computer, and it is 8:34. And of course, naturally, the lady is like, yeah, I can't check you in for your flight. You can't go. And we're like, there's no way, ma'am. We've been here. They're like, you were too late, whatever. We're like, the first thing I'm like, there was nobody here. We were not late. We were early. We've been standing in line, and I have a video of the fact that, we were here and there was just nobody to check us in. How does that make us late? And she's like, sorry, so I'm going to put you on the 2 o'clock flight, standby, and the 10 o'clock tonight to get out. And I'm like, we didn't agree to that. I was like, ma'am, there's nothing else you can do. So the supervisor comes over and she's like, I can do it. I'll check the bags. And I was like, oh, and the puppy, which now in hindsight, I'm like, I probably shouldn't have said that, because that made her be like, oh, that's way too much paperwork. I'm not doing that. And my brother's like, so you can't or you won't? And she was like, I can't check the dog. So my brother was like, why don't you check them in and let them go and I'll stay back with the dog? And I'm like, no, it's my dog. You guys go, we're fine. And the lady just goes and runs with it and prints us 2 boarding passes and leaves my brother the dog in our 5 suitcases. So then this lady's like, run, go, your flight's boarding. So we literally, I start tearing up because, he did not need to do that. That was way too nice. And, I just felt bad and I didn't want to leave my puppy. It's, her 2nd or 3rd flight. And it just, happened so fast. So we take off running. We get in the TSA line and realize this lady printed us tickets to be standby for the 2:15 flight. So we're running and we're like, even if we get in there, we don't have tickets to get on the 9 a.m. flight. What is going on? But we're standing in the TSA line. We're like, we're gonna miss this flight. Whenever we get through, we start running. We get there, we obviously missed the flight because we had stood there going back and forth with this lady for so long. And like I said, even if we made it, we did not have tickets to board. So at this point, me and Bailey get in line for the indoor special services that you get in the line for when you miss your flight. And we start telling this lady what's going on. And my brother calls and says he got a flight. He's going to Chicago. And we're like, why are you going all the way to Chicago? That's not even in the right direction. What if the flight doesn't take off from Chicago? We don't know the weather there. Who said this is a good idea? But regardless, we ask the girl to put us on that flight so we can all go to Chicago together and hit the layover to New York. So if we get stuck there, at least we're together. However, naturally, the flight to Chicago was already boarding, and since a flight was in process, she could not add us to that flight. So at this point, my brother has a dog in TSA. He's telling us he has the flight to Chicago, and we're like, bro, did they tell you what time that flight to Chicago was? Because it's boarding now. So literally, let me remind you, I carry my dog in this white, pretty purse, and all of my stuff is in it, because normally I just take it out when I put her in, my headphones, makeup, I don't even know, random things that were in there. And I just hold them in my lap. They're things I use during the flight or whatever, and put her in. So my brother has all of this stuff and my dog running to try to get on this flight to Chicago. Regardless, they end up there, and me and Bailey, I don't know if you noticed in the story, still don't have a flight because we have these standby tickets at 2 o'clock. So we get permanently put on at 10 o'clock. And my mom decided, no, I don't know if you guys are going to make it, and books us another flight to Rochester, New York. The problem with that is we were waiting standby for the one flight to go to Syracuse, which was where my brother was supposed to land, which ironically was at the same time, like 4 o'clock. And we also had this flight to Rochester leaving at the same time. So like, if we waited too long for the standby, we were going to miss our guaranteed flight. But if we got on the guaranteed flight, we were going to land at a different airport than my brother. So it just made absolute chaos. So my brother made it to Chicago with the puppy. They ate in Chili's, made a ton of friends. He would have to tell you that side of the story on what his day entailed. But we were literally waiting for the flight to Syracuse for, like, literally my grandmother was on the phone, had a timer set, like, when we needed to make a decision. And they were like, I think you're going to get on this flight. We waited it out. We ended up getting on the flight. But it was just absolutely crazy. And the funny thing about it all is every flight I've ever been on, and I do travel a decent amount, I would say, has ended up getting canceled or, like, delayed, I mean, at least. So the fact that none of our flights yesterday got delayed, which would have saved all these problems, is just like, of course. But anyways, that's like kind of the shortest version and way I could tell this story. But it was an absolute crazy day with several airports, all of us split up, and all these crazy things. So American Airlines, please do better on the front end, because I just feel like they need a separation. Like, people that already missed their flights should not be in front of people that are trying to get on flights. And I say that for myself too. Like, if I already missed my flight, I don't want to be standing in front of someone so then we both have the same problem when they could have made theirs and then we could deal with mine after. Or like, they just need separate lines. I don't know, but crazy day. And that is all for this look. I'm going to get dressed and yeah, have a good night. But that is my crazy travel story. I will see y'all next time. Love y'all. Bye.